Eamon Khan here for Seconds Out with journalist Gareth A Davies, a broadcaster and pundit as well too. I should add many hats worn as well as a spectacle or two. And you're at the spectacle last night, Dave Allen versus Arslanbek Makhmudov, and it was Makhmudov who got the victory. But in terms of the breakdown of action, did you see whatever we thought Jamie Moore and Dave Allen's game plan was having an effect through the fight? Did you see the routes to victory for Dave progressing in the fight and ultimately falling short?
Good evening, Eamon. It was one of those. It was one of those events where your heart was ruling your head the whole time because the atmosphere there was extraordinary. You could feel 9,996 people in the place because there were four people for Arslanbek Makhmudov, three people in the corner, and himself, the fighter himself. 9,996 people were willing a Cinderella Man moment to come for Dave Allen. It almost came at the end of the ninth round. But I think if on a critical side, you could say a little bit more head movement and maybe jabbing his way in might have been handier as well. But Dave's incredibly tough. He's got one of the best chins in the heavyweight division. And you know that chin of steel kept him in the fight last night, as well as those 9,996 people and everyone at home willing him on to get what would have been an improbable victory. I think it was a calculated risk, high risk, high reward fight for him to find out if Arslan Makhmudov, didn't have enough left in him after those two defeats to Guido Vianello and Ajit Kabayel to sustain someone that had a strong resilience, and that's what Dave showed. It looked like he almost cracked him at the end of that ninth round when you were there live, and he had a massive opportunity. But that barrage was one of very few in the fight. I had Makhmudov winning literally every round apart from that one. Maybe you could have given Dave the last round as well, but it was a very one-sided fight. But there was something about it because you wanted this fairy tale to come true. The atmosphere felt like a loving for like it used to feel with Ricky Hatton. It really was reminiscent of that, and I got to speak to David afterwards. So on the ring apron, and Jamie Moore and Pat Brown there, for Talksport with the microphone. Dave was brutally honest, as he always is. I wasn't good enough. He found out that Makhmudov is definitely a top 20, maybe top 15 heavyweight in the world. He was the ogre of the division till those two defeats. And Dave belongs somewhere between 15 and 50. But you could match him with the odd guy, like you could match him with the Derek Chisora now, given that they both got cult status, and that might end up as a very big event. I'd still make Chisora a handy favourite in that fight, but I understood their game plan. But Makhmudov got comfortable, didn't he, Eamon, with his jab, and was popping and popping and popping, and then landing the right hand, and then holding. And he knew he was so far ahead, it didn't matter that Steve Gray, I think it was Steve Gray, deducted 2 points.
Contextualizing Dave's career in the fights that he's been in, the caliber of opponents he's been in, and the game plan he has to affect to try to win, which is to eat a lot of punishment, then come back with something if there's a gap or an opportunity. He's had successes in those moments, but he's also felt those losses. A lot of talk, even coming this week from Talksport, as to whether he should continue in the ring. When you saw him, when you spoke to him after the fight, where did your heart lie on Dave continuing? He said he wanted to, but how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I'll
Continue to
just
push
add
the
one
point.
thing. He was very successful to the body earlier in the fight as well, by the way, that Makhmudov didn't like, even though there was definitely a low blow in there to start that off. Well, speaking to Dave, it, taking a lot of punches at heavyweight doesn't do anyone any good for later on in their life. But Dave saw the funny side of it. He told me he felt like he'd been swung around in a disco, and he was seeing the funny side of it in there. And he seemed fine, but tired and fatigued. He didn't seem concussed to me. Um, and obviously, I was up very close to him for about a good 5-10 minutes after the fight. Um, no, I think he should carry on because I think he can capitalise in the next 3 or 4 fights. I think his popularity he's becoming a cult figure, a cult hero, a popular folk hero. So maybe he needs to be matched cleverly for the rest of his career now. But I think he could fight the winner of Fraser Clark and Jamie TKV for the British title. He could do another fight with Johnny Fisher when he's had a couple of fights. I think he could fight a Derek Chisora. But you don't want to put him in with an Anthony Joshua. And I spoke to Shelley Finkel on my way up yesterday. There'd been no talks between Eddie Hearn, Frank Smith, Shelley Finkel and Deontay Wilder for Dave Allen had he won last night. It was just, they were just throwing it out into the ether as possibilities, I think, that might, kind of magically emerge as potential fights. But no, I don't think he should stop. I would have concerns if he was being roundly beaten up, but he parried quite a lot of punches. He took too many, but he's going to have to be careful going out and fighting like that every time.
Carl Frampton, that is, at the end of the DAZN broadcast, still, we're talking about matchmaking, he still put the Wilder name out there. That was instantly dismissed by Tony Bellew, but Carl Frampton said he wanted to see it. What do you think?
No, it doesn't work. Doesn't work. What for Makhmudov or for
for Dave Allen?
Well, listen, if they want to make it, then that's fine. But there's been no talks about it. I'd rather see Deontay Wilder fight Anthony Joshua in Africa if they're going to have an Africa fight, with all this talk that there is going on in the background at the moment between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua's teams to get them in the ring. Obviously, they want the help of the Saudi Arabians and Turki Al Sheikh to get that big money fight over the line next year. But I don't see it. I'm with Bellew on the fact that it's not a fight that works right now for Deontay Wilder, because had Dave Allen won, there might have been more of a possibility of it, but it doesn't do anything for Wilder.
Makhmudov said that he had a promise from Anthony Joshua over the DMs, I believe, on Instagram, that the two would fight. Look, have you heard anything in the secondarily? Let's say that there is a possibility.
Yeah.
What do you think of the matchup between the two?
Yeah, I quite like it. But Makhmudov doesn't really sell, does he? We know who he is now. I mean, certainly the wider British audience know, I suppose, who he is now. Certainly, the Brits have had a chance to look at him, the British fans. I quite like the fight, but I don't think it will happen. I don't think Joshua's only going to be in big fights from now on, and I don't think it's big enough. And it's not. Makhmudov offers, and this is just promotional head talking here, not me talking as a journo or broadcaster or whatever you want to call me. No, not whatever you want to call me, but in that realm. That Makhmudov presents enough of a risk not to frighten. The Wilder-Joshua fight does something in the era, even though Wilder is very, very late in his career now, and Joshua is still recovering from that horrendous knockout to Dubois. But Makhmudov offers enough problem, even though I think Joshua stops him within 5 or 6. That would be my pick. I think Makhmudov offers enough trouble, but not enough kind of monetary gain, if you like, to not take the fight if they're looking to make Fury next year. If you understand where I'm going with all of that,
Vianello also threw his name into if there's a hat for it after beating Alexis Barriere last night.
Against who?
Anthony Joshua.
Okay, I didn't know that. No, thank you for that. He's a 6'6" guy who had very good sparring with Tyson Fury when he was arguably at his best, and going into the second maybe fight with Wilder, I think it was at that time, and they spoke very highly of him. I don't think he'd take it. I don't think Joshua's team would take it, I'm afraid, Eamon.